Hello, Lifebook community. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever the case may be for you. And welcome to a very special interview where we'll be putting the spotlight on individual members of our community, members who are crushing it in a category of focus that we are having for this month. Basically, we want to tease out some tools and techniques and mental models that have helped them grow and that we can also apply in our lives. Today, we are joined by Anna, who is the CEO of Quantum Mind Academy. She's also an Australian transformational life coach, specializing in subconscious linguistic, blueprint creation, and mind recoding, which is the topic that we will dive deep into today. She's also the author of Escape Your Matrix, How to Master the Game of Life. Anna, welcome to our spotlight.
Thank you so much. This is it's such an honor to be part of this group and to share my knowledge, because I think that what you're going to learn today, it's going to be very, very helpful for a lot of people. So thank you.
Amazing. So I actually wanted to ask you directly about escaping the matrix. What does escape the matrix mean to you?
Wow. Okay. Escape the Matrix, a lot of people would confuse it with the movie Matrix, but it's actually nothing to do with that. We actually have, when we're born, we are born empty, we know nothing. And then we are given this massive, massive computer of which people don't even know it exists, called the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind constantly codes, and it actually creates the kind of individual that you are today. So this is what I'm referring to as the matrix. Matrix is the way that your identity has been shaped, that it allows you to do certain things or doesn't allow you to do certain things. So this is what I'm referring. It's almost like a computer program that's inside us. And unfortunately, with a lot of us, we are dealing against, we're actually working against that computer rather than utilizing its power to help us forward. So that's what I'm referring to as the matrix. And escaping the matrix is literally learning how have we been coded and how the heck do we get out of it?
So maybe let's start here.
Yeah.
How does this process happen then?
All right, now, okay, so again, like I said at the beginning, initially when we're born, okay, it's just this soul that comes from wherever it comes and goes into a human body. And here we are given the self-learning computer. Now that computer, the subconscious mind, has been given to us to, first of all, help us survive. So, run the body organs and run everything. But it's also a self-learning computer that tries to fit in wherever it is that we end up being. So let's say, for example, wherever it is that you grew up and the initial, what I refer to, tribe, or the people that you've been raised, you literally just end up there, and from day one, you're being coded. So for the first probably 6-7 years, your mind it only operates on what we call theta vibration, which means you don't even make up any decisions. All you're doing is trying to fit in. So as you grow up, depending on what it is that you've been rewarded for and punished for, it literally will shape the kind of character. So there's obviously, Alex, there's a reason why you love being smart. You love being analytical. Again, if you were to analyze it, it will go back to the way that you were raised. And this is something that you're rewarded for. So, when we arrive to subconscious mind, things like love is the most important thing, okay? Because the computer realizes that if you don't get love from parents or whoever's looking after you, they're not going to feed you and you're going to die. Okay, so the subconscious mind, love simply means survival. Okay, so it's super, super important. And so it literally tries to fit in. So let's say, for example, if you grew up with very strict parents, and you've been told that you're not allowed to do certain things, your computer program or the subconscious mind will literally shut down certain emotions. So let's say, for example, that's why we have, boys don't cry, or whatever it is that you've been told at the time where you're coding. And the first 6-7 years, by the way, you're literally in hypnosis. So the brain wave is at a level where it's just hypnotized. So everything that you're taking in literally. Okay, so there's no, you don't have the reasoning mind where you think, they probably didn't mean what they said. No, right at the beginning, everything that's being said to you gets coded and coded and coded. So the first coding that goes in, like let's say, let me give you an example. Let's say if you're told, you know, you don't deserve that dog, okay, because you're not looking after your toys, you're not looking after this, you don't deserve this, okay. The child doesn't actually have a comprehension of saying, okay, they actually made a reference to dog because of this and this and this, okay. You don't do that. All you're doing is just taking the coding, I don't deserve, okay. And this is what we call an anchor bias. So it literally gets stuck into your mind. And then there is another filter that kicks in, which is called confirmation bias. And confirmation bias simply means that from now on, everything that you've just believed, all you're going to be seeing is the things that will confirm what you already know. Okay. Now we've got about 40 million pieces of information that are flying at you at any given second. Okay. It's impossible to take everything in. So the mind is very clever. It only will filter through what it is that you need to know. And what you need to know is confirmation of what you already know. Okay, so literally the mind, the way that it gets shaped is, okay, if you're told that you need to, you know, be great at school, for example, okay, this is what you're rewarded for. So suddenly you're going to go, okay, well, I need to be extremely good at this. And I'm not allowed to do this. I'm not allowed to do that. Now, this will literally shape the kind of character that you have and the identity that the kind of person that you become. So this obviously, you know, if you had really, really good, you know, the way that you were raised, if it was really, really healthy, there's a chance that you're very, very successful and you have an abundant life and everything's fantastic. But unfortunately, from what I'm seeing is that probably 98% of people out there have some kind of coding that got stuck right at the beginning, and the confirmation bias just pile up information galore to why you cannot achieve something in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Have I confused anybody yet? So it is really, really incredible. And, you know, and one thing that I see constantly is, you know, a lot of people, like when we go into personal growth, right? You know, there's so much beautiful knowledge out there, fantastic books, fantastic seminars, everything's great. The problem with that is that if it doesn't, whatever it is that you're learning, if it doesn't agree with your coding, okay, it's going to get rejected sooner or later. Okay, and the way that it works is, let's say, for example, you know, let's say you've been on yo-yo diets all your life, and then you come across this fantastic program and you want to go and just, you know, I'm going to work really hard, I'm going to do it. Okay, so your subconscious mind will go, fine, go and do it. Okay, and there is this conscious mind, you know, working really hard and running a certain way, and it's almost like an elastic band. Okay, if you work extremely hard, okay, you'll get further. If you work, you know, and what's going to happen is you will keep on working until you either burn out mentally, or eventually subconscious mind will go, all right, that's enough, come back here now. And then it just comes back to status quo. And that's what self-sabotage is. Okay, you will constantly, you know, you might start a new business. And I've learned this when I, years and years ago, I built this massive construction business, and you know, I had it for 15 years and made millions and millions of dollars. And one day I attracted somebody that decided to clean me out. So this was a really, really painful experience for me. But this is what made me realize is there's a reason why this person was attracted to me. Okay, there's a reason why that person came into my life and made me go through this, and that is to do with self-sabotage. Because deep down, even though I was a multi-millionaire, you know, deep down, I was feeling like I didn't quite deserve it, okay, or I didn't quite, and it's something I never even realized, because I was flying helicopters, I was driving, you know, fancy cars, and it's, you know, it's something that I worked really, really hard. Like I was working insane amount of hours, and you know, and I'm a very, very determined person. So it was just a matter of, you know, working really hard. But subconscious mind at the back was just going, okay, it's just a matter of time. You're going to come back. So then after that happened, I spent the last 10, 15 years learning about what it is, how does the subconscious mind actually work, and how can you decode it? How can you actually change the coding that you originally had? Because once you decode it, everything else is going to be easy. You're going to literally achieve goals with the flow. So rather than, you know, pedaling against current And when I was building my business, it was literally me against the world. It was really, really hard work and discipline and just insane amount of energy that was being spent on running these. But what I've learned is that's because I was going against the actual coding. So I always had this elastic band that was holding me back. And I was pretty strong, so I was pushing it through. But all it took is just simply go and decode. First of all, analyze it and learn how to analyze it, and then just go and decode it. Once you decode it, anything that you can learn, it just sinks in. And then you just utilize it. It's almost like fuel, it will push you forward. But if you don't decode it, it's just a matter of time before it fell free.
I think it's very interesting, this idea, like the mind cannot hold conflicting beliefs. This is what I'm understanding, right? If, for example, if I feel I'm not worthy, this is the one of the beliefs that's can be formed in the back of my head. Then whatever I do in the world, I go, I try, I get stuff. The more I get, it's still contradicting that belief that let's say I'm not enough or I don't deserve it in this case. Can you walk us a little bit through the process that you used to break free of this I'm not worthy of my success?
Yeah, of course. So what I do, I've created a program where you literally go back into analyzing your childhood a little bit. So the first 6-7 years where your brain was at theta vibration, we sort of analyze how you were raised. Okay. And that's quite an easy process, but you literally just sort of look at what it is that you are rewarded for and what it is that you were punished for, because this will automatically tell us exactly the kind of person that you became. And also another thing that we analyze is what it is that triggers you right now. Like, let's say anything on the outside world, what is that you get annoyed about? Because that will simply, usually when I have a conversation with somebody, just by having this conversation and knowing what it is that annoys you, I know exactly how that's coded in your subconscious mind. So everything that's happening on the outside world, it almost has like a link to a coding in your subconscious mind. And once you actually find what it is, you just simply decode it. So that's the process. The process is also requires a massive paradigm shift. And the paradigm, and if you get a chance to read my book, it's almost it's almost like science fiction, where you really realize that every single person's perception, every single person's reality is different. I mean, right now, however many people we have on this call, every single person's definition of reality is different, totally different. Okay, your definition of success is different to mine. Your definition of love is different to mine. Your definition of everything. So realistically, when you think about it, there's no such thing as realistic. Okay, in fact, I would even take that word out of vocabulary because it's nonsense. There's no such thing as realistic. What's realistic is every single person has got different coding and sees the world in a different way. It's almost like literally having a virtual reality goggles on, and you're seeing your own world. So you're seeing everything that's happening around you in your own way, in your own film. I don't know if that's a little bit too much for everybody, but yeah, in the book I sort of explain this step by step, and how to really realize. And the biggest paradigm shift is to realize that we are not humans having a spiritual, on a spiritual journey. We are spirits. We actually are spiritual beings having human journey. So, you're seeing worlds. So you're like Alex, you're a soul that's experiencing life through Alex. Okay. And the minute you can really grasp that and detach yourself from the identity that you've created, it will allow you to shift this into a new identity, which is almost like an improved version of you. Mm-hmm. And then everything else suddenly, rather than pedaling against current, it just becomes running with the flow.
So, what did this perspective shift, this paradigm shift, do for you once you realized it? What were the changes?
Oh my gosh, it's just, what, I think before, and look, I've always lived quite an abundant life because of the hard work that I've always put in. And I've always been into personal development. I mean, I've done seminars 20, 25 years ago, and they've really set me on, you know, a really good mindset. So that's always been great. You know, when I did the Lifebook, and I did the, you know, the things where you tick off and works out, you know, where you're at, it was really, really high. But what this paradigm shift has done for me is, rather than trying to balance, like, I think that everything was all about balance, you know, living a balanced life. So it went from balance to right now, there's no such thing as balance. Everything's just integrated. Everything just comes in so easy. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, I still work extreme amount of hours, but I do it because I absolutely love it. Like, there's no, you know, there's nothing that I do that's not bringing me pleasure. And literally, I know that, you know, that with this is just changing people's lives, and you know, seeing that shift. It's actually quite funny because I came across Lifebook about 18 months ago. I I used to work as a business coach, so I would go into massive businesses and help them take that ceiling off and grow. So, you know, I would walk in as a business coach, and, you know, normally they would just expect me to say, okay, well, this is what you have to do in business. Business is easy. What's complex is human psychology. So very often my business coaching within 2 days will turn into life coaching, starting with the owner of the life, you know, of the actual business. And then they will, you know, hold on to me and say, well, can you just fix everybody else in this business? So this was all great. But when I came across Lifebook, and the reason why I came across it is I went horse riding and I came off at full gallop and I almost died. So I was in hospital for 4 months, or on crutches for 4 months. And I'm like, okay, I work so fast. What do I do now? Like, I can't move. So I decided, okay, well, let's learn something else. And, you know, I got onto computer, I came across Mind Valley, and then Lifebook straight after this, which is brilliant. And I think that what Lifebook really made me realize is that the stuff that I'm teaching to really wealthy people in businesses, but that should be really, like, what I've realized that there's so many people doing all these personal development courses and they're getting so excited about it. It's great to see, but knowing what I know, all I'm just doing is seeing people go, grow, 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 come back, grow, 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 come back. And what they do after that is hate themselves because they've put so much work into it and it didn't work. And that is just so, to me, that's, you know, heartbreaking, because I know that these people can be just absolutely successful in anything and have an abundant life if they only knew that they to work with the computer, not against it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's dive into this then. How do we work with the computer and make it
All
work
right.
for us, not against us?
Yes. So how would I explain this? Okay, so we've got conscious mind, which is the analytical mind that we think with, and then we've got the subconscious. The subconscious pretty much controls 95% of what we do. Okay, we don't know that, but pretty much all the choices that we make, you know, anybody seen the movie Social Dilemma? Have you seen that? Yep. It's all about the algorithm of Facebook and social media, right? Now, what we have in here, it's like a billion times bigger than that algorithm. Okay, so it's everything's just computation. So the way that, you know, okay, let me ask you a question. Have you ever worked for a boss that didn't know how to communicate with the employees? Like, let's say, for example, somebody who was just very neurotic, you know, one day he wanted this or she wanted that, and then, you know, they just constantly changed their mind. They didn't know how to communicate with employees, and to make the matters worse, spoke a totally different language. And you're like, what do I do? All right, that is your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Okay, the conscious mind, we've been given free will, which means that we can do whatever we want, right? But the subconscious mind, it's almost like a you know, I'm talking to employees, but if you were to use a different metaphor, if you had, I mean, in our bodies, we have 3.7 billion cells, right? Actually, not billion, I beg your pardon, trillion. So 3.7 trillion cells. So this is almost like a huge city. If you can imagine that this conscious mind, this little conscious mind, is the king or the queen. Okay, you are the ruler. You've got the free will. You can direct wherever your subconscious mind has to go. Okay, your subconscious mind is like the general. Okay, a general that responds to everything that you ask for. But unfortunately, the communication between the general and the king or the queen is literally like that boss that speaks a different language and you've got no idea. So the general goes, oh, I don't know, look, I'm going to give you this. No, that's not what I want. I want to give you this, okay? And eventually, when your subconscious mind realizes that this king or a queen is a little bit loopy and doesn't know what they're doing, okay, it will take over. It's almost like a cruise control. And it's like it will hypnotize you to sleep and go, just let me drive, okay? Because you got no idea what you're doing. By the way, if anyone's suffering from chronic pain is just your subconscious mind trying to communicate with you, and it's been communicating, and eventually goes, you've got no idea, I'm going to put this alarm on, okay? And subconscious mind puts chronic pain in to make you realize that to be careful in the future because you're spiraling down either emotionally or physically, and you're heading for disaster. So subconscious mind just takes over and puts an alarm on, which is the chronic pain. So look, it's really, really powerful. So how do you communicate with it? Okay. Again, the language is literally like Chinese and Greek. So you got different letters, different, just different grammar, different everything. Okay. So it's really important for you as the ruler, as the king or a queen or the conscious mind to learn the language of subconscious mind. Subconscious mind is like a 5-year-old. It's very, very, very literal, okay? And it's so it doesn't actually live on the outside of our body. It depends on you communicating with it, okay? So, it will, so it always, like whatever it is that you tell it, it just takes it literally. I sort of try to explain it like, when you're teaching a child how to read, and you've got those flashcards, a flashcard that has, a ball, drawn a picture of a ball, and then a written B-A-L-L, right? So if you can just imagine that everything that you say, your subconscious mind turns into pictures, okay? So if you say, I don't want, this is a perfect example, I can't eat donuts because I'm going to get fat, okay? What you've just given subconscious mind, you've given 2 flashcards, one that has donuts on it and the other one that has a fat person in it. Okay, so your subconscious mind goes, great, I understand. You want to eat donuts, you want to get fat. Let's do it. Does that make sense? So that is how subconscious mind translates everything that you say. Now, this is so, and let's say, for example, another common mistake that I see is people say, okay, they're creating goals and say, I will be wealthy or I will be rich. Okay. Now, first of all, the minute you say something in future tense, for you, it will always be in a future tense. Okay. Because you've just given the instructions to your subconscious mind that this is something that's going to be in the future. You will never experience it because it will be in the future. Okay. Also, if you say rich, okay, now, depending what are the definitions that you have stored in your mind, okay, if you're a definition of someone rich, like I had a conversation with a client who said, I just want to be filthy rich. And I said to her, you know what, you're never going to be rich. And she said, well, what do you mean? Aren't you going to teach me how to do it?
Why am I paying you?
Yeah, and I said, no, you know why? You've just associated, do you want to be filthy? And she says, no. And I said, why would you put the word filthy next to wealth? And I said, the minute you put them together, your subconscious mind goes, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get filthy. All right. So this is so important how we use our language. It has to be in present tense. So it has to be, let's say if you, and it has to be very definite. It cannot be abstract. Like, let's say, what does rich mean? If I give you $10 extra, well, that, like, I want to have more money. Okay, what does it mean? If I give you $10, well, that's more money. I've achieved my goal. Okay, you have to be very, very specific with your subconscious mind. And so always talk in present tense and always talk in positive. So rather say, I can't eat donuts because I'm going to get fat. Just turn it into I want to choose healthy food so I can be fit and healthy. Okay, it's the same meaning to your conscious mind, totally different to your subconscious.
Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of sense. So
yeah.
this echoes.
Yep.
this echoes, I think, in my mind, at least when you were talking, it echoes something that I learned also from Marissa Peer, that said that your mind responds only to two things: the pictures in your head and the words that you say to yourself. And this is very important. What you just said with the filthy rich, I think it goes back to a few minutes ago when we talked about these conflicting beliefs. It's very hard to say, I want to have money or I want to have abundance, but I secretly despise all people who have money or abundance.
Yeah.
There are two different things. So,
Yeah.
for example,
So this is,
how do you talk to your subconscious mind? First of all, how do you describe the subconscious mind? What does it mean for you, the subconscious mind? And then how would you communicate to it? What's the exact way that you talk with your subconscious mind? So, for example,
yeah.
from what I'm getting is that you define what things mean to you. You get clarity around your goals. You need to make them highly specific. And this is one of the patterns that you use to talk to your mind
Yeah.
about, right? Is this,
Yeah.
am I getting it correctly?
Yeah, so you do it twofold. So one is on the conscious level. So when you're awake, you obviously have to be conscious of how you speak to your subconscious mind. I look at it again. I've used that metaphor before. I'm the queen, or or the king of this universe, and I've got this general that absolutely adores me. Really wants to do the right thing by me. I just need to learn how to communicate properly. Okay, so the communication that I have, and like when we talk about meditation, a lot of people think meditation is just all about slowing down and relaxing, which it is. I actually use meditation more as communicating with my subconscious mind. So literally having inside my head, having conversations with my subconscious mind. First of all, being grateful for having this program in your mind in the first place. The subconscious mind has been running your whole body organs for, however many years you've been on earth. So, being grateful for all that. And then you can actually okay, this is the way it works. So you've got the king or a queen that directs the general. Okay. Now, general will never say, no, you're doing it wrong. Okay. It's not going to tell you that you're doing it wrong unless you think that you're a loopy, and then it's going to take over. Okay, but let's say it will never question you. Okay, whatever you say, that's how he or she's going to respond. Okay, the subconscious mind, and it will literally just go direct to all the organs in your body and say that's what we need to do. However, you can actually instruct the general to tell you what you need to be instructed with. I'll give you an example: health and fitness. Okay, we go and calculate calories in, calories out. I need to do this. I need to do that. Do you know you can actually instruct your subconscious mind to tell you what it needs? I mean, this general is in charge of your whole body. It knows how many calories you need. And every single person's different. So it knows exactly what your body requires to be healthy, fit, to be, absolutely alive. And you can actually instruct it to tell you, okay, listen, subconscious mind, just let me know if there is food that you don't want me to, put into my body as fuel, just repel me from it. Okay. If there are nutrients that you require, make me crave them. It's amazing when you actually give subconscious mind the command to allow you to communicate with you, it will do that for you. You don't have to look at it. You don't have to count calories. You don't have to do anything. It's going to do it for you. Okay. It will tell you when it's thirsty. It will tell you when it's, and so I'm using this as an example, but that can be done in every single category of your life. And it's quite incredible. And utilizing the meditation to be able to communicate with your subconscious mind to actually bring out, ideas and just the pictures onto your mind of what it is that it requires. It's really, really powerful. Now that is from conscious perspective. My training goes a little bit further than that. Because what I do is we go, okay, so this is the character that has been created. Okay, I kind of compare it to, if you ever play computer games, you had this Mario character. Okay, this is your character right now. Okay, now you're the person experiencing life through that character. And what we do is literally go, okay, now these are the beautiful goals that we have, like with Lifebook, we've got all these beautiful goals that we have created. Okay, and I think John and Missy talk about, what type of character do you need to be to achieve those goals? Okay, because the character that will achieve these goals is different to the one that you're currently running with. Okay, you actually have to upgrade your identity. Okay, otherwise, if you don't upgrade it, guess what? Rubber band comes back in, elastic band comes back in, and you're going to be in status, back to status quo. So we literally recreate the actual identity of the person that that wants to achieve all these fantastic goals. And what we do is actually teach my clients how to go into self-hypnosis and recode it while you sleep. Okay, so when you start falling asleep, your brain vibration drop down to theta, which is just before you fall asleep. It actually drops down to this level, which is the same level when you were a child. Okay, the first 6-7 years, that's what you're operating in. Okay, so it actually, that you've got this moment in time that you can utilize. And what we do is have a look at, okay, these are the things that I would like to achieve. These are the kind of character that I need to be. Let's literally just write it all down. What are the characteristics that I need to recode into my mind and record it? So we go through a process where you're utilizing a background music with theta vibration just to get you into that state really quickly, and then record it for yourself. So you actually learn how to do it yourself rather than just relying on anybody else, and you fall asleep with it. So plug it in, just fall asleep. And that makes such a huge difference because your subconscious mind doesn't switch off. Once you're, that little character that talks all the time, once it falls asleep, okay, your subconscious mind goes, okay, the queen or the king is asleep right now. I can concentrate on my troops. I can concentrate on healing the body. I can concentrate on doing all these things. And while I'm doing it, I'm going to be changing the actual coding in your mind. And once the coding gets changed, the confirmation bias, which is again the filter that we have, will start seeing things that are relevant to your new belief. Does that make sense? Have I confused anybody yet?
Let's see. So I'm very big on this idea of identity, right? I read a lot about it. I've seen the effects of it in my life. For example, I talk a lot about reading, for example, one of my passions. We in Lifebook also talk about tracking your habits.
Yep.
This is a particular habit, for example, that I do not track at
Yep.
all. Over time, this for me, it's not like a habit. I see myself as a reader. And in my mind, what does a reader do? A reader reads. You don't have to tell me that I need to read or whatever. So this idea of adopting identities, I think it's very beneficial. You talk about paradigm shift. One paradigm shift for me was exactly something that you just mentioned. The person that the life you have now is a result of the person you are now. Therefore, if you want a different type of life, the same person that you are now might not be able to get you to the next level. So what does a person at that level looks like, feels like, thinks like, acts like, in order to get you to the result? This is in a way what you are talking about here when you're
spot on, Alex. But I think that if you take it even a step further, we talked about you being the soul that's inside Alex right now. Okay, so you're experiencing whole life through Alex's eyes. Okay, and through the matrix that Alex has been given. Okay, so however it's been coded, okay, that's how you see your life. Now, you can easily change that character just by simply realizing that you're not it. Okay, you're not the body, you're not the mind. You have a mind, just like you have a hand, you have a brain, you have eyes, okay? You have a mind, but you are not mind, okay? This is, and again, in my book, I talk about, that being almost like a virtual reality game. If you realize that the character, it's almost like this is the actual game that you are in this life, watching it for this particular character. You can always have a choice of taking it off, become the full soul. So right now, all your dramas literally go with that character and you recreate. So from that perspective, you're recreating your new identity. Does that make sense? So you're recreating the identity that you want to live. So you're literally upgrading the movie that you're watching, okay? The game that you're in, the life that you have right now, you can upgrade it just simply by making a decision that you're in, like, disconnecting yourself from the actual character and realizing that you have the power to be able to change it.
This is really interesting. So I think I read, if I'm not mistaken, in the Untethered Soul.
Yes, I love that. Michael's, yeah.
Michael Singer,
That's right. Yeah.
Really great book. So there was this idea where I think it's in that book or the other book that he wrote, definitely one of these. He talked about this idea of like define yourself, and then you'll be like, just say who you are and be like, Alex is a Romanian, he's 33, he's married to a beautiful Ukrainian girl, and you insert descriptors here. Yeah. And then the idea would be like, okay, but if you remove the age, does Alex still remain Alex? If I remove the 33? And the answer is still yes. And then you go, but if I remove even the Romanian part, do you disappear? And you're like, no. And then you do this process over and over again, and you realize that at the end, what you're left with is just an observer. Fundamentally, you're still here and you're the observer that actually latched on a lot of these pieces that make up the identity that I see myself at. But fundamentally, at my core, I'm just, like you said, I'm a soul having an experience. I'm just someone that's observing the world through my eyes. This is what I'm understanding. And now, for example, if you go back here and you just observe yourself as a soul, you can start to latch on things. For example, Alex is sitting at home. This is the identity. Okay, I don't like this identity because Alex is just the observer of the experience of Alex sitting at home. What if Alex is the world traveler? Let's install this belief. One of the things that I've seen that people struggle with, myself included here, is that when you're trying to adopt a new identity, there is immediate backlash. I'm like, Alex is a self-disciplined person that does what he says he's going to do every single day. And then reality kicks in and you're still sitting on a couch, drinking tea and watching Netflix. So how would we start to not only code these things in at the beginning, but this process of accepting these new things that we have?
Okay. The reason why this is happening, Alex, is because you're doing it on conscious level. Okay. So again, if your coding says something different and you're telling yourself, your little, the little character in your head just goes, yeah, right. You're sitting on a couch. Come on. Right. So by doing this on conscious level, you won't be able to change it. Okay. If you're very, 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 very disciplined, eventually it will sink into your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind goes, well, I guess that's what he means, so we better change that. Okay, but that is hard work. That's working against current. The way that you do it is through recordings. Okay, so through self-hypnosis, you're changing it, which means that your conscious mind, the one that thinks and the one that would disagree with you when you say that, is asleep. So by putting yourself to sleep and letting subconscious mind do the decoding, subconscious mind doesn't care where it comes from. Okay, if I could give you another metaphor, I don't want to confuse you with too many metaphors, but it's literally like a where you have spreadsheets, right? And when we try to enter a different number, okay, and the coding up on top, the actual equation spits out a certain number. Do you know what I mean? So what we try to do by doing it consciously, you're literally trying to overwrite that number, and you're just changing it and changing it and changing it and changing it and changing it. Now, subconscious mind's pretty smart. Eventually we'll go, oh, I guess that's what Alex means. We'll just change the equation. But what we're doing through this is going back to the actual equation and say, stuff this. The reason why this number's coming up is because the equation's wrong. Okay, so you go back and recode the actual equation so it automatically pops out. So to actually change habit, it's actually quite easy if you can recode your mind. Okay, what's really hard is when you go, well, I'm very determined, and the number comes up and says, no, you're lazy. No, I'm very determined. No, you're lazy. So this is where you're going to be becoming, doing all this all the time. And eventually, if you persist with it, eventually, you'll get it through. You sink it through. Anthony Roberts talks about incantation, where you actually really get your body into like I am healthy, I am healthy. Eventually, because of the movement and the power that you're putting into it, eventually you'll sink into subconscious mind. But the easiest way is to let that conscious mind fall asleep and code it while it's asleep. It's very, very, very powerful. You refer to Maria Pierce, who does hypnosis. Fantastic stuff. I mean, that's, stuff like that works. The difference with what I do is I actually teach you, rather than giving you a fish, I teach you how to fish. So like, let's say, if I was to look at right now with Lifebook, we talk about different categories all the time. To me, I look at it, so it gives me an opportunity to sort of, put a little bit more conscious mind into, like right now we're talking intellect, yeah? So I would say, okay, what are the characteristics in my character would I need to upgrade to have this like an absolute highway? What is it that I want to do? So obviously have a look at the goals, and let's say, for example, one of the goals that I have is to do a TED talk this year and teach people how to, teach a million people how to recode their minds, how easy it is. And, so my original character goes, oh, I've never done this before. What do I have to do? Okay. So I'll look at the goal and say, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to upgrade the character so it's really comfortable with public speaking. We need to upgrade the character to do this, 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 this. And I just code it in. So I change my coding every month that relate to what it is that I want to achieve in that particular category. This book is thanks to Lifebook. Thanks to me falling off the horse and finding Lifebook, because this was one of the things that I put on my, I was thinking, okay, what do I want to do intellectually? I can't walk, so what can I do? And this is where I've realized that, I'd love to be able to teach this to millions of people rather than just, really wealthy individuals that run big businesses. Sure, I get paid a lot of money on, one by one, but I'd rather give this to people that, that really can benefit from it. So the first thing when I put that down was, okay, I'm not a writer, like I've never written a book before. What do I know about writing? I can't spell. I'm a terrible speller. I mean, English is my second language. So what do I do, And then I go, okay, let's just decode that. Okay, these are limiting beliefs that I have right now. These are the goals that I want to achieve. So let me see, what do I need to upgrade in my character? Okay. And then go straight into coding and say, okay, I'm fantastic at writing, and just created all these different things that I coded in. And then I go, well, let's just do it. So before you know, the book's published and it's doing really well.
That's amazing. So I know that you have a gift for us. So if we want to dive deeper into this topic, what would be the next step?
Yeah, so when I was putting this training together, there's, like I said to Alex, I could just go on for hours and hours and days talking about this subject because it's so deep and so rich and so interesting. So what I decided to do, rather than overwhelm you with too much information, I've created a 5-day challenge, which is absolutely free for all the Lifebook members. And I think it kicks off in 9 days, whatever that is. I'll put a date when we finish. But I think it's on Tuesday in Australia, on Monday in US and Europe next week, so 9 days from now. And it will be a deep dive into how do you actually go about recoding. Okay, so the things that I've just discussed today, how do you analyze? How do you, analyze what your coding has been? How do you pick up all these things that you might not even know that they're sitting in your subconscious mind? And the thing is, if you don't decode it, think of yourself as a high-rise building. If you need to get your everything underground correct and stable before you can build. Okay, because if it's not stable, okay, it doesn't matter how high you build, eventually it's going to fall off. Okay, so we're going to analyze exactly where you're at, and then I'll guide you through how do you redesign this identity. Okay, so this is the identity. How do you really grasp that idea of identity shift and the fact that you're just an observer? And then how do you redesign your new character? So all the things that you've just designed in Lifebook that you can achieve with the flow. So you can achieve something that's just really enjoyable and fun rather than struggle. Yeah, so it's going to be a 5-day challenge. Anybody that wants to get in, just click the link. I'm sure Alex will post the link, I guess. And it's totally free. And I really hope that you're going to get some absolutely awesome results with that.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Anna. Let's also go to our members, get a few questions. I saw, by the way, you can also, if you have a question, you can unmute and ask your question at this point. I'll just go with a few here that we had in the, let's flip back to me, that we had here in the chat. So Mark wanted to know, do you meditate at night before sleep so you can engage your subconscious mind?
No, not before I go to sleep. Once I put my recordings in, because it's the music that I have is theta vibration, so it's things that it's music that actually gets my mind straight away into the sleep mode. I want to fall asleep really quickly, so I don't meditate. Meditation is really slowing it down, whereas mine just goes from here to there straight away. Okay, because of the type of music that I use, and it goes straight into coding. Now, the great thing about using your own voice when you're listening to recordings is that your conscious mind, whenever you're listening to somebody else, gets curious. Like I know for years I've tried using hypnosis and meditations and things like that. Very often my mind was very curious. What is that person saying? What do they mean? How does it work? And it wouldn't really it would take quite a while to actually bring it down to just relax. Whereas when you're actually listening to yourself, initially you'll go, I don't like my voice. That's the first reaction. But then you'll go, oh yeah, no, I know that voice. That's me. I can fall asleep. I trust myself. So it's really, really quick. You go into the hypnosis level and you know exactly what you've put down in there. Okay, so I remember when I've got 2 teenage girls, and one of them at one stage struggled with anxiety with exams coming up. And somebody suggested, oh, I've got this fantastic meditation she can listen to. And so I let her fall asleep and I put the music on. And I didn't get a chance to listen to it before I let her listen. So I was sitting in the room while she was laying down and relaxing to it. But the voiceover came and talk about, I know that exams can be very stressful and I understand that. But so it actually put it into much more anxiety to start with rather than really diving that deep into just, so, she went to school and I'm like, this is crazy. I need to do it on my own. So that's how I actually started doing my own recordings, and it's just phenomenal results.
So, question that was bound to happen, bound to come up, right? From Marion, just wants to go directly to cut to the chase. It's how many nights will I have to listen to this self-made hypnosis in order for me to start seeing results?
Look, it all depends on how seriously coded and how much files. Like a lot of people have a filing cabinet so long with the files to prove you're right. Okay, so if let's say, depending on the childhood that you had, like let's say if the coding got really, really strong, it might take a little while because mind has to get rid of all these files and then replace the coding. Okay, so it might take a little bit longer. Most cases, few days, few weeks sometimes. It all depends on your subconscious mind. One thing about subconscious mind is the trust that it has with you. Okay, so the general and the queen or a king, the trust that's built between the two. If it really believes that you know what you're doing, okay, that you've got this authority about you when you talk to your subconscious mind, it will let you do it straight away. Okay, like when I do my codings, 2 days. But some people might take a little bit longer because of the way, like let's say for example, if you're coding at night saying like I'm very, let's say I eat healthy and then you're conscious that when you wake up you start doing stuff initially that's totally contradictory to what you've just put in. Then your general will go, oh, hold on a second, maybe that's not what he meant, maybe he meant this, maybe he meant that. So you sort of have this back and forth until eventually the coding will take over. Does that make sense? But if you combine the two of the way that you communicate during the day with your subconscious mind, and then add the coding. That is so powerful.
I like to think about change in three ways. This is also, it's an idea that I got from Marissa Peer, since we mentioned her name. It's that change normally happens in three ways. It's sometimes it's instant. This is what shedding consciousness on a thing does. In some cases, it's literally the act of, I was doing this thing. Oh, I will not do it anymore. Okay, I'm aware of what I was doing. That's instant change. Another type of change is progressive change, cumulative, bit by bit, that happens over time. So for example, in this case, let's say you start coding into the mind your new commands, and it will take some time, a little by little, and then at one point you'll be like, oh, okay, now I got it, I'm doing this. The last type of change, which is very interesting and fascinating, is retroactive change. You changed, but you were not aware of the fact that you changed. Like say several months down the line, you become aware of the fact that, hey, wait a minute, something's different here. I'm doing things differently than I used to do it before. This is retroactive change. So like you said, like everybody's different.
Yeah, absolutely. But what you will find, this is sort of a little bit like that. Like you, unless, let's say, if it's recoding towards health and fitness, you will notice it very quickly. Okay. But let's say, for example, if it's something that's a little bit more abstract, you might not realize that you actually change until later on. I'll give you a perfect example. I told you I had I have two teenage girls, and one of them at one stage starting to have trouble with weight issues. Okay, and it was weight, by the way, it's emotionally related. Okay, so if it's something that you're spiraling with emotionally, it's usually weight. It's a protective mechanism. But so I helped her create her own recordings. And, my girls are typical teenagers, they just roll their eyes and it's like, yeah, mom knows everything. But she started listening to it. Now, 4 months later, she dropped 15 kilograms. Now, I don't know how much that is in US or in pounds, but it's massive amount of weight. And I remember having this conversation with her, and she says, I don't even know if this coding really works. And I said, what do you mean? And she says, well, and I said, look at you, you're just a totally different person. And she says, no, but I did that because somebody encouraged me to do blah, blah, blah. So you don't actually see that. You don't really relate it to the fact that you've changed the coding. You actually will relate it to something on the outside that encouraged you to go a certain way. Now, you would never even see that unless that got recoded. Does that make sense? Yeah, so, but it's really powerful, and it's much more powerful than, obviously you're talking about the aha moment, like you can change like that. That is, I'm trained it's called Old Pain to Go, which is where if you have really serious chronic pain, how we can communicate and the subconscious mind will switch it off, literally like that. Either switch it totally off or turn it down to next to nothing. Okay, and that is just literally through a conversation with your subconscious mind, and that can be done extremely fast. Okay, because once your subconscious mind realizes that it's actually dangerous for you to have that pain, constant pain, it will switch it off. And it's, just seeing results, it's just absolutely mind blowing. But that's the power of subconscious mind. We all know that we only use 2%, 3%, 5%. Some of us maybe just 1%. But there's the power of subconscious mind is so massive, and if we only learn to communicate with it, it just makes our life so much easier, because you're literally working with the flow. So your subconscious mind comes on board and says, "Yep, let's do this." Okay, rather than you going, "No, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this," and your subconscious mind goes, "Nah, not going to happen."
That's brilliant. So I was looking at the chat. Bill, did we answer your question in the conversation, or do you still have the same question and you would like to ask it now?
Yes, but it has to do with, there's two kinds of self-talk. One is what you say to yourself, which is the chat. Like, I am healthy, I am strong. I am healthy, I am strong. I am healthy, I am strong. It's the chant, right? The other is the recorded. And I've been listening to, what's his name? Helmstedter's self-talk, which is recorded self-talk. Very good message, subconscious, either while I'm anyway, so that's how I'm communicating with the subconscious. It's auditory. It sounds like that's it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So if you can link it straight into subconscious, it's much easier. The talk where you say, I am healthy, I am healthy, I am healthy. It's like saying, I have no weeds in my garden, I have no weeds in my garden, and expecting that they're going to disappear. Okay, so that little chatterbox that's inside you, Michael Zinger actually talks about it as a tenant that lives with you. Okay, it's not even you; it's just this person that constantly talks. Okay, and now if you wait on, if let's say for example, it doesn't matter if you say I am healthy and your subconscious mind knows that that's incorrect. This little character will say, yeah, right. Okay, no, you're not. So the best way to do it is, and I think that's one of the teachers at Mind Valley, I think could have been at Marisa as well, she uses the lofty questions. So rather than saying, I am healthy, turn it into a question, okay? And the question is, why am I so healthy? Okay, now when you ask a question rather than a statement, okay, the statement can be disagreed with, but if you say, why am I so healthy? Suddenly your mind goes, oh, I better go and fetch some files to prove you're right. Okay, so well, you're healthy because you look after yourself, you're healthy because you went for a walk, you're healthy because of this. So just turn that into unconscious level, turn it into questions. So, ask a question, why is everybody smiling at me? And if you have that question, you're actually going to start noticing people that are smiling at you all the time. And you go, this is weird, everybody's smiling at me. So turn it into a question, and that way there is no yes, no answer. Okay, there's only proof to, the confirmation bias has to prove you're right. So you're actually utilizing the system that you have, built-in system, to prove you're right. So if you say, why are my friends so generous? Or why are my friends so loving? Why, this is such a beautiful, loving community. Okay, by asking this kind of question, there's only positive answers that can come through. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant, thank you. I think the author is for lofty questions. I think it's Christy Marie Sheldon.
Christy, that's right. I beg your pardon. Yes, it's Christy. Yeah.
No, brilliant. Insightful conversation. Thank you very much, Anna. Daniela, you have a question? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, you were about to wrap it up. If it's possible, I would need a minute to ask my question. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Anna, okay, great. I need some practical advice. So what I started doing a few days ago was make recording of myself reading my live vision. And I used to play this in the morning, right after waking up, plugging my earplugs in and listening to it before getting out of bed. Should I do it now in the evening before going to sleep?
No, what you could do is combine the two. So live vision in the morning is fantastic because it will set your, set your whole day into, okay, this is what my vision is. And, like when I wake up, the first thing that I do is ask two questions. What are two things that one question. What are the two things that I can do today that will get me closer to my live vision? Okay, and that is my aim. So I don't necessarily plan everything to the nth degree. I let the universe help me and my subconscious mind help me bring things into my vision that will get me closer. So it's like, okay, what are the two things? And I literally constantly, like if I only found one by 5 o'clock, my mind's just going crazy. In other words, I'm sure there was a second thing that I had to do, okay, and we'll get it. And it's, so that's really, really powerful. But yeah, so listen to your vision. And I think that's actually even better way of doing it than just reading it. Some people thrive on just reading things. I think that there's more people that are auditory and visual. If you can just flood yourself with visual things, this is how your subconscious mind takes it in. Like I have my visual boards on slideshow. Okay, and it's that's a video that I watch every morning. So I wake up and the first thing I do is put my video on, all the things I'm grateful for. And it's not only just the things that are in my life right now. The subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. I slide in things that I want to achieve. Okay, so I've done a picture of on Photoshop where I put myself on a stage of TED Talk. Okay, and it's constantly flashing. So it's like my mind, it's just a given. It's just a matter of time before, you know, the time arrives that I can do that. You know, I love this program that I have to be in, you know, involved with Mind Valley, because I think that will really, really benefit from everybody that's doing it. So, you know, that's part of my vision that's flashing, that, you know, and I know that it's just a matter of time before it gets through, but, you know, I just leave it up to universe to decide when is the right timing. So I don't make those decisions. This is higher power, whoever that is that's running the show, you know, they will decide. But to me, all I want to do is just, so I have mine as a visual, but listening to it. So definitely listen to it. But if you can add some visual into it as well, that's very, very helpful.
A video as well.
And then ask the question, what are the 2 things I can do right now and get me closer to my vision?
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
That's a brilliant technique. I like it as well. So this is what we call connecting with your life vision on a daily basis. We talk about this in Lifebook, of connecting with your life vision on a daily basis, figuring out literally a system that works for you, right? For some, exactly like Anna said, some might be more auditory, or some might be more auditory. Some, most of us have a mixture of kinesthetic, visual, and auditory. So the more senses you bring to your life vision, the better it is.
And I think, Alex, if I could just add one extra thing. So your conscious mind can be auditory, but your subconscious mind is all of them. Okay, so flooded with visuals, with music, with all the things, you know, all the tactile things. So that's the only way that it experiences world on the outside. Doesn't know any difference. It's just communication with your conscious and subconscious, and all the feelings that you have. So the more you can flood information into the vision of right now, like I am living this life right now. Okay, again, subconscious doesn't know any difference. So if you're just assuming this is how you're living right now, and add the feeling, so the feeling actually speeds up the whole process. So if you're really grateful for the fact that, you know, you've got this abundant life, and you know, whether you have it or not, it's irrelevant. It's like in your heart of hearts, if you believe that you already have it, it will be like this.
Thank you very much, Anna, for all of this engaging and fascinating conversation. The book is Escape Your Matrix, How to Master the Game of Life. The 5-day challenge on recoding your mind will be available in the session notes. Anna, it was a real pleasure talking with you today. Thank you very much for taking the time and sharing from your experience and from all of these amazing tools that you share with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.